Look around you for a second. Wherever you're sitting right now, everything probably feels totally normal, right? Safe, completely predictable. Well, welcome to This Explainer, because I am about to absolutely dismantle your comfort zone. Today, we're going to walk through 25 verifiable, utterly mind-bending facts that sound like complete fiction, but are 100% true. We're going to break down the science, the history, and just the sheer, terrifying weirdness of the universe. Let's get started.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to start off a little slow, just looking at some everyday objects you completely take for granted, and then we're going to build our way all the way up to the deeply, deeply existential stuff. I promise you, by the time we finish this explainer, you are never going to look at the world the same way again.
Section 1. Nature's bizarre biological glitches, or as I like to call it, the everyday illusions.
So to build a little trust before we get to the heavy stuff, let's take a stroll down the produce aisle and expose what I like to call the berry betrayal. Because botanically speaking, your entire childhood fruit salad was a complete lie. Bananas are actually classified as true berries. Crazy, right? But it's because a true berry has to come from a flower with one single ovary and have a soft middle, which a banana perfectly qualifies for. Strawberries, on the other hand, are total imposters. They come from a flower with multiple ovaries, making them what we call aggregate fruits.
And hey, speaking of bananas, don't let it go to your head, but you shouldn't feel too unique as a human being. We actually share roughly 60% of our DNA with them. Because all life on Earth evolved from a common single-celled ancestor, humans and plants still share the exact same basic cellular housekeeping genes. So the next time you feel like an absolutely unique, one-of-a-kind individual, just remember that structurally, you're over halfway identical to a fruit smoothie ingredient.
But nature's weirdness doesn't stop there. It's basically a factory for evolutionary anomalies. Take wombats, for example. They're the only known creatures in the universe that produce cube-shaped poop, literally baking their waste into little blocks so it doesn't roll away. It's brilliant. Sloths, despite being incredibly agonizingly slow on land, they can hold their breath underwater for up to 40 minutes. I mean, they're practically Aquaman compared to dolphins. Lobsters taste their food with their feet and literally pee directly out of their faces to project scent signals. And just to anchor this to something massive, a blue whale's tongue weighs an astonishing 2.7 tons. That is the exact same weight as an entire adult African elephant, just chilling inside its mouth.
Now, we usually tend to think of history and culture as very serious business, but just wrap your head around this fact. Scotland's official national animal is the unicorn. Yep, and it has been since the 15th century. It is genuinely fascinating how a fierce, battle-hardened warrior culture chose a literal fairy tale horse as their mascot, simply because it was legendary for its untamable dominance and purity. Moving right along to Section 2. Historical timelines are broken, because time is definitely not linear. You see, human history has this incredibly weird habit of completely shuffling its timelines when we aren't looking. Like, did you know sharks have been swimming in the oceans for over 400 million years? That makes these cosmic elders older than trees. Trees only showed up about 350 million years ago. Jumping forward a bit, Oxford University was teaching students in 1096, which is literally hundreds of years before the Aztec civilization officially established the city of Tenochtitlan in 1325. And this next one brilliantly illustrates the weirdness of time. Nintendo was founded all the way back in 1889 to make handmade Hanafuda playing cards. Guys, Mario's great-grandparents were essentially working in the Victorian era.
And for some real cognitive dissonance, just consider Cleopatra. She lived around 30 BC. The Great Pyramid of Giza, completed around 2560 BC. So if you do the math, that means Cleopatra lived closer in time to the creation of the iPhone and the 1969 Apollo moon landing than she did to the construction of the pyramids in her own empire. Oh, and speaking of ancient Egypt, archaeologists have literally unearthed jars of honey from tombs that are over 3,000 years old. And get this, it's still perfectly edible today. Because honey has almost zero moisture and extremely high acidity, bacteria simply cannot survive in it. It's completely immune to spoilage. You could literally spread Pharaoh-era honey on your morning toast right now and be totally fine. Section 3. The terrifying cosmic scale. We're zooming out.
If you thought human history was weird, wait until we look up at the sky. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer, literal weight hiding right above us. 1.1 million pounds. That is the weight of an average fluffy white cumulus cloud floating on a beautiful sunny day. It looks like weightless cotton candy, right? But it's actually packed with hundreds of thousands of pounds of water droplets.
You essentially have the equivalent weight of an entire fleet of commercial airplanes floating directly over your head at this very moment. Let's rapidly fire through what's happening off our little blue planet. On Jupiter and Saturn, the intense atmospheric pressure actually crushes methane gas into pure carbon soot, which means it literally rains solid diamonds. Gemstone hail dropping right out of the sky. Meanwhile, back on Earth, up to 50% of the water you drink every single day originated as interstellar ice before our star even ignited. You're drinking water that is older than the sun itself. And over on Venus, the planet rotates so painfully slow that a single Venusian day lasts 243 Earth days. That's actually longer than it takes the planet to orbit the sun. A day is literally longer than a year.
To wrap up this macro scale, let's just compare our home to our galaxy for a second. There are roughly 3 trillion trees currently growing on Earth, trillion with a T. But astronomers estimate there are only 100 to 400 billion stars in the entire Milky Way galaxy. Our little green rock is packed tighter with life than the vast night sky is packed with burning suns.
Okay, stop. Let's just pause the explainer for a second. We're more than halfway through, and I honestly need you to drop a comment down below right now, telling me which of these facts has messed with your head the most so far. Because from here on out, we're going to absolutely melt your brain. Ready? Let's get back to it.
All right, Section 4, Human Anatomy and Inventions. We're going down to the microscale.
You know, sometimes the things we invent defy all logic. Just to point out the pure absurdity of human invention, the portable lighter was invented in 1823. But the friction match? That wasn't successfully developed until 1826. Humanity literally harnessed complex chemical gas reactions to create fire years before we figured out how to efficiently rub 2 sticks together.
And speaking of kind of terrifying historical inventions, chainsaws were originally invented by doctors in the 1780s. Yeah, you heard that right. They were hand-cranked surgical tools designed to slice through pelvic bone to assist with difficult childbirths before C-sections became safe. I think we should all be incredibly, profoundly thankful for modern medicine that this tool was reassigned to the forestry department.
Now let's look at your own body. You know that household dust you're constantly wiping off your shelves? Well, a massive percentage of it is just the 500 million dead skin cells that you shed every single day. You are constantly vacuuming up historical fragments of yourself. But hey, on the bright side, your skeleton is absolutely amazing. Ounce for ounce, human bone is stronger than steel. A piece of bone the size of a matchbox can support up to 9 tons of weight. You're basically walking around in a premium biomechanical armor suit. Which brings us to Section 5. So the crucial point is, reality is an illusion, and we're breaking physics. Everything we've discussed so far relies on reality functioning exactly as we expect it to. But take a look at this number, 10 to the power of 120. This represents the possible iterations of a single game of chess. To put that into perspective for you, the entire observable universe only contains about 10 to the power of 80. The mathematical complexity hiding inside a simple wooden grid vastly outnumbers the physical building blocks of the entire cosmos. And honestly, your physical body isn't what you think it is either. First off, thanks to Einstein's general relativity, gravity literally warps time. Because your feet are closer to the center of Earth's gravity, time ticks slightly slower for them, meaning your head is technically older than your feet. Furthermore, atoms are 99.99999% completely empty space. If you somehow removed all that empty space from every single person on Earth, the entire human race could fit inside a single apple. We're basically just highly organized ghosts walking around with very heavy packaging. Which leads us directly to the ultimate scientific anchor, electromagnetic repulsion. Because the electrons in your body and the electrons in literally everything around you carry a negative charge, they violently repel each other. They push back. This means you have never, ever actually touched a physical object in your entire life. Touch is just a sensory illusion your brain interprets from that microscopic magnetic pushback. You are permanently floating a fraction of a nanometer above everything.
So I want to leave you with this final, genuinely provocative thought. If you've never actually touched anything, what else about reality is just an illusion? Think about that tonight. And hey, if you enjoyed having your comfort zone dismantled today, make sure to subscribe for more reality-bending explainers so you don't miss out on what we uncover next week. See you then.